Frank Lampard's Derby evolution in full swing with blend of youth and experience already revitalizing Rams. When Big Phil Scolari took over at Chelsea, it was revolution, not evolution. This was wrong, that wrong, and everything had to change. A stubborn group, the players just didn't buy it, and 7 months later he was booted out of the club. Carlo Ancelotti took the opposite approach, telling the big-name Blues that everything looked great. He'd make a little change here and, a couple of weeks later, a little tweak there, but those little things aside, everything was working well. It was only after 6 months that John Terry, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, Joe Cole and Co realized Ancelotti had subtly changed everything and that they'd come round to his way of working without realizing. Chelsea's players learned much from Ancelotti's approach, and Lampard, it appears, has taken a similar path since he was appointed at Derby in his first managerial role. There have been no drastic changes, off the pitch at least, with the biggest change around the training ground the fact that the academy is now more integrated with the senior squad. Of course, there have been a few changes on the training field to bring in a different style of football to the one Gary Rowett wanted to play last season. But players know they can expect that whenever there's a managerial change, and those who have been at the iPro Stadium in recent seasons are well used to that. What Lampard has impressed on his players, old heads like Richard Keogh, Curtis Davis and David Nugent, and new recruits such as Mason Mount and Harry Wilson, is that hard work and energy are the minimum requirements. He made the most of his talent by sticking to such principles, and if they follow his lead then they will, too. Sources close to the squad say the way Lampard and his backroom team of Jody Morris, Shay Given and Chris Jones have talked to their players has been well received as well. Certainly, the introductory phone calls Given made to Scott Carson and Derby's other goalkeepers before his first day went down very well. The football has been positive and energetic, something Derby were not always under Rowett. And even though Lampard and Co are too savvy to read too much into friendly wins over Premier League Southampton and Wolves, the way both results were achieved will please them. Of course, moods can change quickly when the real business begins, as it will for Derby at the Madejski Stadium against Reading on Friday. But there's no point pretending there isn't a belief, a confidence at Derby that the Lampard era is something to be excited about. The fact he has already taken to starting the bounce with which fans confirmed their dislike of neighbours Nottingham Forest has also curried more favour with the locals. The clash with Reading throws up some interesting subplots. Lampard and Morris know Paul Clement well after working with him at Chelsea, while Clement's first job in front-line management was also at Derby. He didn't last long under owner Mel Morris, 8 months to be precise. And no doubt there'll be some advice on how to deal with the Rams' multi-millionaire owner when the pair share a beer post-match. Morris insisted at Lampard's unveiling that he hadn't mentioned promotion as a must, and you'd hope that the playoffs were talked about as a hope rather than a necessity. Hopefully, when the inevitable dip does come, he will back his manager in a way he hasn't always with those who have gone before him. Rowett led them to 6th last season before they went out to Fulham in the semis. But with Lampard's additions this is a much more youthful and exciting squad already. Mount looks to be the real deal, but the Championship's hairy-backed defenders will no doubt make life difficult for him and Liverpool loanee Harry Wilson. Jack Marriott and George Evans looks good signings as well, adding to the vibrancy around the place, and if Derby get off to a good start against Reading and then Leeds, then the Lampard evolution will really be underway.